Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live stream Q&A. My name is Christian Karasiewicz. I'm the content marketing manager at StreamYard, and I'm here to answer your technical questions for about the next 40 minutes. So these are StreamYard technical features, functionalities. If you have equipment questions, any of that kind of stuff, you're totally welcome to just ask away. The only thing I ask you to do is put them in the Q&A box within the stage here. So it's going to be off to the right. You're going to see the Q&A tab. Be sure you put those there. That would be, I think, the first place. So with that, let's kick things off. So I've got quite a few questions here. Actually, this is great, actually. So we've got some questions about, let's see. So can the speaker have a virtual background in their video? So natively, you can't. So this is a physical background. You can't have a virtual one unless you're using, for example, a third-party tool. Let's see, people will use some third-party tools to bring in backgrounds. They'll use, there's like OBS. You'll hear people talking about that. Just remember, by the way, if people are using virtual backgrounds, like you can bring the green screen in, which is a static image in StreamYard. However, if you do want to bring in like a motion background, you need to use a third-party service for that. Let's see. So Gian has a great question. Do you plan to open the possibility to download individual guest video files? That's a great feature request, actually. And I will actually make a note right now to our team about that one. So excellent question. You can download individual audio files right now if you're on the StreamYard Pro plan. However, if you want to get the individual video, that's not something that we offer at the moment. So it's just audio. We just rolled that out, by the way, too. So great question there from Gian. So let's see. So Carmen has a question. How do you add a countdown before your live stream? So Chris, I don't know. Do we want to maybe, let me see if I have any actually here in the backstage. Maybe we can bring one up and I can actually show them how to add a countdown timer. Maybe we'll share my screen. What do you think? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my screen here actually for you all. So let's see, let's bring this up. And I think, yep, you're gonna see my stream here actually. So hopefully this is okay. So here I am, a little inception going on. And so Carmen has a great question. How do I add a countdown timer? So basically these are countdown timers in the video clips area. And so what you can do, like we include one for free. So you have this 30-second one. There's also a StreamYard branded one. If you send me an email, marketing@streamyard.com, and reference in the subject line countdown timer, I will actually send you some of the countdown timers that we have for a lot of our shows. But these are some of the ones we have. And so all you have to do in your dashboard, Carmen, is create your countdown timer. So you can use tools such as Wave Video. Canva has some options as well. You can have a person create these for you as well. They need to be 1280 by 720, and they need to be 200 megabytes or less for a video clip. And so you just click the plus sign, you locate it on your hard drive, and then you're going to be able to play that countdown timer at the beginning of your live stream. Now, if you have something that falls outside of that feature, there's also this new feature here at the bottom, the share button, and you'll see this, and it will actually be a video file option here that you can share. And this allows you to share long form video. So these are videos longer than the 200 mega or larger than the 200 megabyte size and the 10-minute window. You'll be able to upload videos of any size. So if you happen to have a very nicely done countdown timer and it's, let's say it's 5 or 10-minute countdown timer, or let's say some people like to do 20 minutes, you just simply upload it there to the video file section, and then it will actually show up here along the bottom as an option to bring in. So I hope that helps you. Very cool. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? And by the way, just send any questions you have. I'll do my best to answer as many of these as I can during the next 40 or so minutes. Okay, so let's see what we have here. So Travis has a question. Has StreamYard, let me find that actual question. Let's see. Travis had a question about StreamYard consider adding an SRT option versus RTMP. I'll make a note of that. That's a very good question, actually. So if my producer, maybe Joanne behind the scenes, if she can just make a note, SRTs instead of RTMP. Excellent question. Let's see. Kristen has a question. Can you play a placeholder image for the break as a loop video repeating again and again until we resume? So the image would go up on your screen. So that would be an overlay at 1280 by 720. And you can't do a looping video on something like that. So what I always like to do is I like to actually play. I will put my overlay up. I will then play my video, and then I've got my countdown ready. Like I know personally, like having practiced it, I know when it's going to end and what the sequence is going to be. So that then what I do when I play a video or a countdown timer, I then go in and I turn off the overlay while the video is playing, and then, for example, if I'm in the stream, it pops up with me on the stream. So I hope that helps. Great question, Jude. How do you add the scrolling text at the bottom of the screen? That's a very good question, actually. So let me go into, let me find here. You know what? We've got this. I'm going to actually share my screen, guys. So I'm going to share this, and it's under the banner section in your StreamYard dashboard. So we're going to get a little, here we go. Okay, so this is your StreamYard dashboard. And so if you go under the banner section here, you're going to see you can have all these different banners here. And so one quick note, if you want to reorder these, all you need to do is simply just click and drag on the banners. So this will allow you to reorder those. Now, if you want to make one of these scrolling, for example, this one that says next episode, all you have to do is click the edit button, and there's a checkbox, just simply says scroll across the bottom ticker. I check the box, I hit save, and then it will become a scrolling banner. And I'm going to actually show you what that looks like, because when you check that box, it also adds this ticker denotation next to it. So this way it's easy to find the ones that are scrolling tickers versus the ones that are a banner. So let me go ahead and change this back. Perfect. Okay. So Leo Mandel, very good to see you, by the way. Thanks a lot for coming on here. I really appreciate it. I really like that. So he asked if there's a Q&A feature for voting. Definitely a very good question, actually. So we'll make a note of that one as well, Joanne, about a voting feature. So I think you're probably thinking maybe like a Reddit thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe, Leo. So Joanne, we'll make a note of a voting system. So that way it's built into StreamYard, because right now it's on the Hopin platform as well. So that's where some of the, you're seeing here that you can vote on some of these. So let's see what else we have here. Can you have one more? Can you have more than one ticker going at the same time? So Megan Wow says, can you have more than one ticker at the same time? The answer to that is no. So for example, if I turn on one ticker, it literally just turns off the other one. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to just type out your entire message in that ticker. And then, if it's a really long one, just have it like basically it loops. So it plays part of it and then it'll keep going. Also, sometimes what I like to do is I like to have tickers at different points of a broadcast. So I'll play one, and then I may want to take it off screen depending on the overlay or the view that I'm using. And then what I will also do sometimes is then I will pop up a second ticker and make a note of that to my audience. Okay, so Curtis, Caesar John, great question. You ask, are you able to add fade transitions between switching from solo layout to multiple people? We don't have the transitions built in at the moment. Joanne, we'll make sure we note that one as well. That's a great feature request. We get that one actually quite a lot. People want some transitions. So transitions between camera switching or between layout switching, actually. Great question. Let's see, what else do we have here? This is awesome, by the way. I love all the questions you guys are asking. I love questions, by the way, and I love tech. I love gadgets. By the way, I got some of my tech and my gadgets out just in case people had questions about microphones and headphones and all the other fun stuff. Let's see, what do we have here? Renee asked, are you planning to include an alternate audio track? Let me find this on broadcast, for example, simultaneous translation. So I can't tell. Are you asking if you can integrate a third party? I know you can. If you use some third party tools, some of them do integrate via RTMP. So I think that's your question. If it's not, let me know. Shayna asked, will looping videos and will they ever become available at any capacity? Again, we'll make a note of that as well. Looping videos. Great question. Does other platforms allow chat to get embedded into StreamYard? Can comments be pulled from Hopin or Spot Me so speakers can see the questions? So we're working on integration there, direct integration with Hopin. Right now, it's just the RTMP option. So if you happen to, you need to use the RTMP option, and the RTMP option doesn't allow you to display the comments. So that's a limitation of the RTMP feature. Let's see. Can you stream? Maxine says, can you stream a long video that you upload? Please show how. Okay, so I'll bring my screen up again so you all can see this, and I'll just walk you through this process. I'm going to walk you through most of this process. That's because if I do happen to go add a video, for example, it's going to add, you're going to see pretty much everything going on. So basically, here's how it works. So if I want to share a long form video, all I have to do is click on the share option and select the video file. Now, what's going to happen when I do this, it's going to pop it into this area down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to just simply be able to click on it and bring it into the broadcast. So that's how you go about doing that, Maxine. Extremely easy. We actually have a knowledge base article on this as well. So let me see if we can get that knowledge base article. If you go to support.streamyard.com, I know we have a lot of articles there. Actually, here we go. I've actually got the answer for you, Maxine. So here you go. So let me find Maxine's question. There we go. So that's how you go about using the long form video feature. Okay, very cool. Okay, so let's see. Can you have more than one ticker? Let's see. Joanne, are there any other questions I'm missing here? I've seen lots and lots and lots of questions here, by the way. Let's see. So Gian asked, do you have plans for private user chat? Like if you need to send a message only for the host. So I think we're working on that feature. What I typically will do, this is the way I typically work. I will, for example, have a separate conversation. Like I'll have, an iPhone, for example, or an iPad open. And then this way I can communicate with that person through that separate channel. That's currently how I'm doing it. So let's see. Let me actually see what are the questions we have here. Awesome. Yeah. So let me do this. So we got lots of good questions here, by the way. I mean, it's so many questions. These are great. So, Gerard is asking about, is there an option available so people who are backstage can talk to each other while the broadcast goes on? So you can use the private chat feature, but as I mentioned, like by a voice, no. What some people will do is they will, for example, put one pair of headphones to communicate, like maybe it's them listening to their broadcast, and then they'll put a second pair that's linked to just a separate comm system to be able to talk to somebody else, or at least to hear from that other person. So that's a way you can do that. Let's see. Felicia Shankin asks, you can only add on the platform one video and one photo. How can we add more photos on the platform during streaming? Okay, so what I like to do is, for example, for a lot of photos, I actually would use Google Slides. I would go to Google Slides. I would put all of my images that I want into a presentation, and then you can present it. And when you present it, it can become an option you share within StreamYard, and you can control it, for example, via your keyboard, flipping between the different slides or the different images. So that's the way I would go about doing that if I want to display multiple photos. That way I can sequence them how I want. I know, it's not a matter of like a lot of other actions. I literally just use the arrow keys to move between them. Okay, another question. Do you like to use overlays or logos more? So personally, I use overlays. So I have a handful of overlays that I create for my shows. I use the logo sparingly. For the most part, my overlays have sufficient branding to them. So therefore, and I want to make sure the focus is on the people that are on the live stream. So I tend to use the overlays feature, the logos feature. I'll put it up and sometimes I'll use it. But for example, if I'm opening a show, I always put an overlay up, and then maybe I'll have a logo that I'll pop up into the broadcast, but I don't use them very often. Okay, so let's see. How many people can you have backstage? Good question as well. So it was previously 10. I think it's up to 12 now. So you can have again, and if people go backstage and let's say it's full, they are going to get a message that the backstage area is full. The host who is logged in will get a notification as well. They'll see something on their end that it's full. So just keep that in mind in terms of the backstage area. So if somebody, for example, is trying to get in, then you want to just make sure you're reminding them, hey, we're very full right now, and that's where you could send them maybe that private message. Let's see. What else do we have? By the way, bring all the questions you have. I'm more than happy to answer them. Let's see. So can you use audio in StreamYard and no video? Actually, yes. There's two ways to go about doing this. So the first way, and let's see if this will work. So I'm gonna bring this in. So one of the ways to go about using just audio is to go to cam mic settings. And actually, let me see if you can see this. Yeah, you can see this. Great. Okay. So if I go in there, if I go into the general option, there's this feature called audio avatars. And so here's what's going to happen. If I click this box, here, I'll actually show you. So I'm going to click that. Yeah. So if I click audio avatar, so as you can see, we had somebody pop in, for example. So for example, Chris popped in here, and that's because he has the audio avatar feature enabled. So he's in the stream. When audio avatars is on, what it's going to do is it's going to allow, for example, him to have a picture there with his name, where he doesn't have to be on screen. So that's one way that you can go about doing this. Now, another cool feature, and I don't know if we'd call this maybe we should call this voice of Puddles, because Puddles is our StreamYard mascot. But if you go into the cam settings area and you go into general and you uncheck audio avatars, what you can also then do is turn your camera off, and it will enable you to speak over top of everyone without actually being in the broadcast. And there'll be a little notice that will appear at the top of your screen. It'll appear up here in your broadcast that you are your camera's not on, but your audio is. So that's one of my favorite features, by the way. Because it allows you to basically be talking over top of everyone, as the host basically for the event. Okay, let's see. So Joanne, I want to thank you for all these great questions, by the way. These are fantastic. Let's see. So Andrew's asking, is there a way to turn the transition speed down on the switches, for example, dissolves times and people's position on screen switches? So that's actually, Joanne, we should note that as a feature request. We don't have the way to let you change the transition speed, but that's a really good question, actually. A really great feature request as well. So about reducing the time on dissolves or adjusting them, making them longer, shorter, and whatnot. So I like that question. Alessandra's asking, will you be able to add the ability to add sound snippets on the stream? So definitely get that question a lot. I can make another note about that. If you are somebody who wants to add in sound snippets to your StreamYard broadcast, there are quite a number of ways to do this, actually. So, for example, some people will they'll use tools like Touch Portal. And by the way, I've got a video coming out on this. So we've got one on Touch Portal. It's basically an app. And so it allows you, it installs on your tablet, for example, and your computer. And then the way it works is when you push that button, it can bring it into your broadcast. So you need to use a third-party tool for something like that in terms of bringing in sound effects. Very good question, though. Another thing I like to do, by the way, for sound effects is I actually will use my my Rodecaster Pro. So I have a physical mixer, and this has built into it some soundboard options. So they have a button. I can press the button, and it will play pretty much whatever sound clip I want to play, whether that's a sound effect that I've created myself. It could be me recording a video intro, for example. I could push the button and play that. So sound effects, that is an option there as well. I prefer to use the mixer option because it allows me complete control over what audio is brought in. I don't have to use a bunch of other software as well for something like that. And I control all the levels because it's a mixer. It's got volume control and things like that. For those of you who do want a soundboard app, a piece of software, personally, I use Farrago from Rogue Amoeba. So it's literally just for soundboards. So you load up all your sounds in there and you can hit certain keys on it and it will play them. You will need to pair that with like a tool, maybe like a loop back, which is also from Rogue Amoeba as well. Okay, so great question from John here. John Einer Sanvan. Is there a way to organize the order of uploaded videos? So at the moment, no, it's the order you upload them in. So what I always try to do is I try to get all of them finished and in the final versions before I do the upload. But Joanne, we will make a note of that as a feature request. It's a great question. Let's see. So another question, Karen says, can you add browser sources from Streamlabs or Streamer Elements? Good question, actually. So you need to bring those in potentially as a virtual camera for that sort of thing. And so that's how that would have to work. So you need to use like a virtual camera to do that. So that, for example, might be going, you'd be using StreamYard, and then maybe you're using a virtual camera software. For example, like ManyCam, for example, is a tool a lot of people use that can bring in a lot of additional effects, and then they'd be able to come into your StreamYard broadcast. Peter, good one, actually. How about asking if a feature request in Q&A, can we have comments in Q&A section? Actually, that's a really good feature request because a lot of times what I do is I tell people to use #ask, for example, during the broadcast. I'll put it in as a banner. And then what will happen is, I throw it up every so often during the broadcast. So excellent feature, actually. I really like that one. I really hope we make that one. Okay, so Black Shadow is asking, I always use a green screen. Is there a chance that I can blur my green screen background? So it's gonna come down to partly your camera. So for example, my lens that I'm using right now, it has a depth, it can create that depth of field. So it comes down to the lens. Now, if you're using a webcam, for example, you can check out if you're using Logitech. Logitech has the Logi Capture app. And it might say it's for the Logitech Brio, but you can use it for other Logitech cameras. You'll be able to go in and it allows you some of that control, but you have to remember it really comes down to the lens. So, you're going to need the right kind of lens to be able to create that depth effect. Okay, Megan's asking, Megan Tremont, another great question, by the way. Can you reorder overlays? She likes them in order of how she presents them, but sometimes uploads them out of order. We got that request a lot. And so it's something I know we're working on, the ability to reorder. But right now, it's all in the order you upload them at. Okay, so art experiential projects. Will there be a notification sound for private chat just for the admins? So that's a good one, actually. So I don't know if you're aware, you can go into your cam mic settings, and if you go into, let's see. So if you go into general and you go to guests, there is a feature there that says play a sound when guests enter. I know that's not exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for a separate notification for chat. Very good request, actually. But we do have it where, if somebody comes into the broadcast, you can hear that. So I think the key thing is, making sure that it doesn't interfere with your broadcast. If there's that actually, Joanne, let's make a note of that. That would actually be a really good Teams feature to be able to, if certain people on your team, if they have a certain level, maybe they could have a sound that goes off for them. So let's make a note of that. That's a really good question. Let's see. So these are, by the way, keep the questions coming. Seriously, Joanne knows me. I will talk all day about live streaming and answering your questions. I actually do it during live stream reviews that I do on like this coming Saturday, for example, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely, if you have questions I don't get to, stop by there as well. Okay, so do you like to host lives solo or with another person? I think it really depends. You have to find a good balance there. So, for example, if you're live streaming by yourself, it can be a challenge because you're in an empty room, there's no one there. You have to assume there are people watching. And so, for some people, that can be a little bit stressful. So, it does help to have another person. I also find having another person helps divvy up the duties. So, for example, if I ever need to switch between the screen, for example, yeah, so if I ever want to switch between the screen, that's something that, I like to have two people help with that, because then somebody can be reading the comments and talking to the viewers while the other person, for example, might be, meaning to maybe change some overlays, play some videos, share some content and whatnot. Let's see. So, very good question, actually, Charles. So, my camera is on a tripod, so it's on a fixed tripod, but I will tell you what I have. So Charles is asking, what camera setup and mic are you using doing this broadcast? And I'll tell you what I have. It's actually very simple. So I am using, for a camera, I've got a Sony A6400. I have a Sigma lens on top of that. It's a fixed lens, so it does not let me zoom in. So that's my camera setup. Now my camera is connected to, I'm using an ATEM Mini Pro switcher. And the reason I use this is because it allows me, for example, if I want to do like picture in picture during the broadcast, I can hit the button, go over to that. If I want to share like an iPad or an iPhone or even another laptop or another camera, I can share up to 4 camera sources just by pushing a button and switching between them. Over to my audio, I've got a Rodecaster Pro. And for my microphone, I'm running it into a Shure SM7B, and I have a cloud lifter on that. And that's because the microphone requires a lot of power. And if you don't have enough power, what will happen is it will actually run, like, you'll get really low audio. So keep that in mind. But that's pretty much my setup. And then for headphones, what I use, you probably can see this, I use in-ear monitors. These are wired, and then I run them down my back so that it has this nice clean look. Now, these are wired, and you're probably wondering, well, why don't I use something like this? These are wireless in-ear monitors, and I don't use these all the time. The reason is because, well, for starters, the battery, it's good, but I don't want these to cut out during a broadcast. The other reason is sometimes what will happen is if you ever connect these to maybe say a phone and a laptop, they might switch during your broadcast. And so this way, if I'm wired in, that's pretty much the way I work, because then that way I don't have to worry about these, hopefully, knock on wood, cutting out. So that's a great question. Okay. Joanne, great. Joanne Banco, actually, sorry, make sure I clarify. So Joanne says, post this in the QA. What is the best and most seamless way to share a PowerPoint as a guest on StreamYard? Okay, so the way you're going to want to do that is you're going to want to use the share screen feature at the bottom of your broadcast. So, for example, if you go into share screen, you will have the option there. It'll pop up a box. And for example, if it's a PowerPoint, you can go to the application option. You should be able to bring in PowerPoint. I would recommend putting PowerPoint in presentation mode. The other thing, though, I would give you another challenge actually to this, and that's I would use Canva for my presentations. I don't know if you know, but they just released Canva, a presentation suite, and they have some really cool features built in. For example, what they'll allow me to do is I could create that presentation in Canva, and then they've built in these shortcuts. So, for example, if I'm giving a presentation, I can just hit, like, say I want a 5-minute timer on screen. I hit the number 5, and it will put a timer on my Canva presentation that is being shared from StreamYard. So I actually tested that out this morning. It was fantastic, seamless, worked just amazing. So that's the way I would use it. The other thing you can do, you can also use, again, it's also going to come down to your producer or your host. They're going to need to bring your broadcast in. In this case, for example, if Joanne or Chris or somebody had shared a presentation with me as the host, I would just want to bring it into the broadcast. And you're going to want to make sure it's in presentation mode, because sometimes what people will do is they'll bring up the window and they'll see, down one side, they'll see all the slides, and the other side, they'll see the presentation. The best way, put it in presentation mode and then share it. Okay, let's see. John Theobald asked, can you fix the playback timer on shared video so that you can see it all the time when it's playing? It disappears off the right-hand side of the window as it gets near the end. Okay, so the timer, I think, are you referring to the playhead? So if the playhead gets to the end, you can't drag it or grab it. Is that what you're referring to? Do me a favor, Joanne, let's make a note of that. I'm not sure if that's if that's something we need to work on, if it's like a bug, or if it's just a feature addition. But the uh, feature when you're sharing long form video, we just need to look at the playhead and make sure that the playhead is not getting to the point where the person can't grab it. Okay, so let's see, what else do we have here? So let me go through some of these questions. We answered about organizing your uploads. Okay, so we've got the Q&A comments. Great question. Let's see. Let's see what else. Wow, these are lots of really good questions, by the way. How much is too much to go live? That's a very good question. I don't actually have an answer to that because it really depends on your time and your audience and what they're able to like do. So for example, if you're trying to go, I'd actually recommend at least going live. Okay, so once a week, just so you stay top of mind on your platforms that you're on. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, the algorithm likes to see activity. So at least go live once a week. And then you need to look at how much time do you have the ability to take on a second show? Because just because a show is, for example, 1 hour, it's not just 1 hour, it's 1 hour plus all the prep time and also the, decompressing afterwards, reviewing it. So I'd recommend, starting small, start with at least once a week and then scale that up. And make sure you look at your analytics. For example, if you're on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, check there to see, how many people were tuning in. And because you're going to want to also experiment with things like how often to go live, what time to go live, which channel to go live on. Because here's the thing, if you're going live on a platform and your audience is not there, then you could easily repurpose your time for something else. So just keep that in mind in terms of when you're going live. Another good question here, by the way, what are the best platforms to stream to? Yeah, so I like to stream to Facebook page, YouTube Live, and I also like to stream to LinkedIn Live as well. Now, one area that I really like the most is YouTube. And the reason is because when I schedule that live, I then can go over to my YouTube channel and behind the scenes, I can edit the metadata. So the title, the description, the tags, and I can optimize my live streams around a keyword, i.e. a topic. And then that will help YouTube learn more about what my live is about and show my live to more people. So if I'm not getting a lot of people to tune in, make sure I'm optimizing it and putting in meaningful information. Don't just use the title of the show, for example. You want to be descriptive about what your show is about. So that's a great question, by the way. Let's see. LI is asking, why do some guests have additional sounds during StreamYard while other guests sound fine? I tell them to turn off devices before recording. So I'm not sure what sounds you're referring to, but what will sometimes happen is, for example, if you have a computer and let's say it's an older computer and the fan, it will kick in. So you may want to pay attention to that. For example, if the fan is right, if the computer's right underneath the microphone and the fan kicks in, there's going to be all sorts of noise. The other reason that could happen is the type of microphone they're using. For example, this is a dynamic microphone, so I speak into the microphone. So watch this. When I turn my head to the side, you're going to notice the sound level has changed. And this is because of the type of microphone. So that's why you might get some additional sounds, for example, that are happening, or you might get some feedback based on the type of mic. If they're using, for example, a Blue Yeti, there's a mode where it will do omnidirectional, meaning it captures everything that's going around. So as you're speaking, it's going out that way. If there's noise down the hall, it's coming back in to your mic. So you want to make sure you get the right type of mic. By the way, I got about 1 minute left here. So I got one more question I want to answer real quick. And let's see. So that would be ideas on how to best bring in a Spanish live translator into an event. Currently, we're counting on viewers to be on YouTube and use the captioning. So I'd recommend, for example, like we've got services here that we're using for the captioning piece. So those are being brought in. For example, I think Joanne, I don't know if we have a list of those anywhere, but that's how we're bringing in the captioning. Let me see if we got one more. I think Joanne's putting in a question actually. So that's actually it. So I'm at my time, but I do want to do one thing. First off, I want to invite you to join me on Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the StreamYard YouTube channel. So youtube.com/StreamYard. And for that, we're going to be doing live stream reviews. This is a show that I do every single week with Letitia Campbell. And we talk about we basically bring people on, we talk about what their live stream challenges are and help you solve them. And then the second thing, I just want to thank you for joining us for our first ever live stream success summit presented by StreamYard. This has been an absolute blast. If you have any questions, remember, you can always reach out to us. And don't forget, join us also in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/StreamYard community as well. We have a robust community and they'll answer all your questions there. But thanks a lot, everyone, and happy streaming.